increase the temperature, and the color will shift to the longer wavelength. Oh, sorry, it's the intensity, and also the wavelength shift. Not shown here. Okay. That's the example. Okay. So the first thing is the intensity will decrease, because if you increase the temperature, there are lots of phonon, and we say the phonon will kill. The phonon will kill the sorry, not kill, but the non-radiative recombination efficiency increase. So the output power will decrease, and that is more serious for the longer wavelengths or small bandgap material. So for the red one, it's more serious than the blue one. Also, there's a shift of the peak wavelengths. They will increase when you increase the temperature, and there's a red shift. So the peak wavelengths will red shift. So that is an example. For example, right now we have the LED to lead on the LCD. But LED, when you turn it on, and there's a heat accumulation. So once the heat accumulation and their wavelengths will shift, and also their intensity will decrease. So when you turn it on, you see it's white, but after operation for a while, then you will see that it becomes blue. So how to compensate this one? So there's an example you can try to follow, try to solve it, this problem. Okay, so right now we have the, for the epitaxial growth is good, and for the device design, quantum well, something like that, not bad. And so the third question is the line scale. So how to improve the extraction efficiency? So for example, we can have some shape of the epoxy over here. So there are two goals. The first one is, before there's air and it's the substrate, and right now we have epoxy and refractive index is higher. So the refractive index difference is smaller. So we can a little bit widen the escape pump. The second thing is here, we can design the shape over here. So we can tune the profile of the emission profile over here. And we can extract the light in this boundary. But we have to describe this problem in two scales. One is on the LED chip, one is on the packaging. So for the LED chip, remember that when we talk about the phosphide system, aluminum gallium phosphide, and we use the gallium arsenide as the substrate. But gallium arsenide actually they emit the light in the infrared, so which means they will absorb the visible light. So actually that's an absorbing substrate. So how can we do that? We can remove it, or we can use another kind of a transparent substrate, so that we can see the light goes up and goes down. And the dimension here for the LED chip dimension is about 300 micron, 500 micron, something like that. And the epitaxial growth here, maybe typically that will be 10 micron. So if you have some LED epitaxial growth, you will know that about 10 micron. So it's 10 is over 300. So when you propagate to the side, there's probably a lot of loss. So how to improve that? We can increase the thickness to become comparable to the height here is comparable to the width, length over here, like a cubic. So that we can see from the very small one, and you have the 6 faces, okay, and then the light output. So that's on the chip level. And also on the encapsulation level, of course we will see use a foam or something something like that. And we will describe that later, more detail. Okay, so we know, so we have the, we call this luminance, current, and the voltage relation of the LED as well as OLED is typically similar, very similar. So for the OLED, it's also linear, and we have the what we say half maxima, even broader, and IV curve similar but different. So that's valid for LED and OLED. We use these three curves and we can represent these things. And from the slope here, we can achieve the candela per amp. Because for the output here, you can use, for example, the candela, right? And here, you can use 70 amp per amp. So the slope here, you can obtain the candela per amp. And also, because you have IV, so you can have the lumen per watt as well. So here, if that is linear, so that implies the I over the candela per amp is linear. Right? So how about lumen per watt? Versus, for example, I. Because candela to lumen, that's the linear transform. But for the n to the watt is equals to the IV. And your V increases with I, right? So it's a little bit increase. Something like that. Okay? So that is what we typically use for the LED as well as OLED. Of course, there's another figure, it's a lifetime. But, well, that's a reliability issue. Okay? So let's go to the manufacturer. So manufacturer, typically we separate into two parts. The first part is epitaxy growth, epitaxial growth, or epitaxy. The second part is the device structure. How can we fit, if we have the PN junction substrate, epitaxial layer, then how can we make the device? So, at the first time, maybe 90, 70, 80, still until 80, we use liquid phase epitaxy. Right now, we don't use that. And that is, you put your substrate here, and you melt your, for example, gallium nitride or something like that. And so it's very hot, it's cold, and you push here. Then when you slide, and some liquid will go to your substrate. And because that's cold, so they will, from the liquid phase to solid phase, and they will have some crystalline growth over here. But that's not easy to control, because we want the quantum well. Quantum well is 100 nanometer, so that's not easy to control. So later on, we use vapor phase epitaxy. So the vapor phase epitaxy, we have because that's the 3-5 compound semiconductor. So we have different material source, and we can separate into, for example, for the fluoride VP or hydride VP, and right now we use MOCVD. So the main concept is similar, but the difference is the source we use. For example, from the chloride to hydride, the difference is the graphite material. They use the chloride, arsenic, phosphochloride, but for the hydride system, they use, for example, arsenic, phosphine, or ammonia, something like that. And for the difference of MOCVD is they use the metal organic material for the group 3. Before, we used the atom because for the group 3, indium, gallium, aluminum, they are metal. So we can melt them and become the vapor, and deposit on your structure, but you need a high temperature. But but we can use the metal organic material. Here means trimesium, because gallium is a group 3 material. So you can put 3 methyl group. CH3. Something like that. So when you heat it up, and it's easy to break the bonds here, so we can put the gallium on your substrate. So that's for group 3. And for the group 5, they are also arsenic phosphine ammonia, like that. Okay? So that's what is MOCVD? MOCVD actually we call that is metal organic. MO means metal organic, and that's a chemical reaction. So we call the chemical vapor because there's a VP deposition on the surface. That's MOCVD. So that is a very simple reaction. So for example, we have the trimethyl alumine, trimethyl gallium, trimethyl indium. So we have the group 3 like that with different composition. And V here means the group 5. If that is the nitrogen, so that will be ammonia. Then you can obtain your material, your epithelial growth on your substrate, and then that gas can pump it up. And because that easy to break bond here, so the reaction only in this direction. It is not possible to go this direction. Okay? So that is one of the best part, because for example, in the chloride phase, 3 means group 3, group 5 means group 5. So they use for example, 3,5 solid, and with the HCl and high temperature, they can have the they can provide this group 3 source then to your substrate, and your substrate is here. Okay, your substrate here, and to your substrate and obtain the material here. So actually, that's a reversible reaction. So you have to be very careful about the temperature. And that's not easy to obtain, very thin layer and very precise layer. Okay, so that's the epithelial growth. So after we got this epi, then we can fabricate the device. And for the phosphide system, we can put down the gallium arsenide, or we can transfer to the gallium phosphide substrate, and they are conductive. So we can use the PN like that, so current will go from P to N. On the other hand, for the nitride system, if we use sulfide, of course, if we can put on silicon, so that's a different story. But anyway, if we put on the sulfide, then we have to put P here and N here, so we have the methyl H, something like that. So there's the P to the N. So of course there are some designs we can play. For example, for the P-type contact, if that is on the center, maybe there's a current non-uniformity problem, so we can design the pattern. But of course, if we put more metal on the top, then they will impede the light output. So there are some careful design between the electrical and optical heuristics. So, for example, if you put a contact very far, and they will have the non-uniformity problem for the current spreading. On the other hand, if you use the ring structure, looks like better, so we can play lots of games. And also, if that is thinner, so they don't have longer enough path, so they cannot have the enough current density here, so you will see the non-uniformity in this device. So sometimes we want to increase the thickness, and because that's the current spreading there. And that is also good for the light extraction because they open the sidewall window as well. Okay, so any question until now? So let's see how can we improve our extraction efficiency. Of course, there are some ways. For example, because we say, oh, right now the width or length is too large, 300 micron, 500 micron, compared with the thickness. So how about that? Then we decrease width and length, like this or like that. Is that good? Yeah, it's good for light extraction, but remember that there's some discontinuity over here, so there are lots of defects. So that will reduce, they will increase the non-radiative recombination. So that is what we use. More conventional. So that is we have the die shaping structure. So for example, right now we use a gallium phosphide substrate and we shape here. So the light goes out, they will goes out. So of course you can do some advanced structure, DBR structure, or surface rubbing is okay. Surface plasmon or photonic crystal, but remember that your LED is very cheap, so that is very difficult to use this kind of advanced structure. So the simplest way is to fabricate that and roughing that, and do some tricks on that. So for example, this evolution of the LED die. Well, at first time, for example, we use a gallium arsenide, so you can see the absorbing substrate. So here is black. So if we change to the gallium phosphide, then you can see that is transparent. So, and of course, we can have some, that's not very difficult to have some current spreading there. So we have some current spreading here. So we can have, from this to here is 5 times flux improved. And from here to here, you have some truncated structure. And you can have another 50% increase. So we can play some tricks on this LED. And remember that is the phosphide system. And for the nitride system, we have the P and N, so light goes output. And P-type gallium nitride is a bottleneck, right? So it's very challenging. So if you have good P-type gallium nitride, you can win the Nobel Prize. So actually, there are lots of games you can play. So for example, here they use the metal mesh. So very thin metal. So improve the current spreading. And also, some people say, oh, why not? We just put the upside down. So right now, P-type, we can use some reflective material, some metal reflective material here. Anyway, the sapphire, L203, actually is transparent, so that can go from this way. So there are lots of the structural design we can do to improve the extraction efficiency as well as better content also. And that is the some other thing. For example, we can put the gallium nitride on silicon. Okay, so we can transfer. For example, here is the sapphire, and we can transfer to the silicon, so the light can go output. And here we can have the metal layer, so that we don't need a very good P-type material. We don't need a very good P-type conductivity. So we can have that. And on the silicon, there's another advantage is you can, because silicon technology is very popular, it's very mature, so you can have lots of the advantage. You can put a driving circuit on the top, on there, and you have the thermal conductivity, and you have the larger substrate size. Okay, so let's go to the package. Any question? So as we can see here, if you don't do the package, the escape point is pretty small. But you put the epoxy on the top, then you can see the first thing is this become larger because the refrain index difference is smaller. And besides, because here is the normal incidence, so you can extrude more output. So as we can see here, there's no encapsulation, no other epoxy, so outside refrain index is 1. And typically we can tune between 1.4 to the 1.8, then we can achieve maybe 3 times more light goes out. And right now the EQE is pretty high, maybe over 60–70%. So that's the LED chip, very small, like that. And there's a reflective cup to make the light goes out, and you have the epoxy dome, and you have the anode and cathode. So this kind of package, they can provide electrical pass, optical pass, and as well as the thermal pass. So they can dissipate the heat out by this package. So you can see here, you have the heat sink, you have the metal here, and right now you cannot use the epoxy because the temperature they can sustain they can have is very low. You can use you maybe sometimes you need to use the silicone encapsulate, so that it is possible to reduce the thermal resistance in terms of Kelvin per watt. So if you reduce that, means you will increase less temperature when you let it out. Okay? Any question? So let's see some application. So right now you see LED everywhere. So I think we can. You can see display lots of the application, and you can when you go to see the display, you can see that's the backlight of the LCD. So it's LCD, and yeah, I think Professor Wu will talk about that. And how can LCD give the color light? Actually, LCD is only the light bulb, which means, if, for example, if the voltage is 0 and the incoming light can go through, and if we apply a voltage, and it will be blocked. So actually, LCD did not emit light, so we need a backlight source. So the backlight source, we can use the LED. And in this structure, in the LCD structure, actually the backlight system here will go to the top. Here is LCD, and how can they have the color? We here have the color filter to filter out the red or green or blue. So each subpixel they have different color filter. So let's see here. For the dashed line here is conventional. Maybe before we use the cathode fluorescence lamp, something like fluorescence lamp here, and we use a color filter over here to select the wavelength we want. But we can see here, for example, this peak over here. That is within the transmittance band of the blue color filter and the green color filter, right? So actually, they will result in some problem in color mixing. On the other hand, if we use a blue LED, green LED, and red LED, then actually their full width and half maximum is even smaller than the color filter, so they can provide high color purity. So as we say in the color science, if we have the better, we have the narrower full width and half maximum, we have the larger triangle, so we have a better color situation. So that is, so we can see here, NTSC is kind of measurement for the color saturation. So for the LED, typically they have the better color saturation compared with conventional backlight system. And of course, we said from the LED, typically right now we use the blue LED to count the phosphor and kind of white light as a backlight. But the phosphor is very broad, although the LED is very narrow. So there is just last week we went to the SID, and there are many companies doing this kind of a quantum dot conversion, and they can absorb the blue light and generate the different color. And the best thing is this of the fluids at half maximum is very narrow compared with a very broad yellow phosphor. So what is the operation principle of this quantum dot? So we know the quantum well, we know the quantum dot, quantum wire, so that is quantum dot. So as we said before, we need two kinds of material with different band gap. So we have the lower band gap and the higher band gap, something like that. So we can quantize the space. So which means if we have the larger size, for example, the diameter is about 55 angstrom or 5.5 millimeter, then we can have the red one. And if we shrink the size, then we can have the yellow, green, or even blue. Okay, so that is the quantum dot material converter. So that is the some typical material. For example, cadmium sapphire, cadmium selenite is the inside, the core, and the zinc oxide is the plating, the outside. Okay, so I think we should review that. This year we have the indium phosphide base of 30 nanometer.
Yeah, about 40.
40, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cadmium is toxic, so we don't like to use that. Okay. But of course, there are lots of these things, especially the backlight design for your LED. Because LED is a point source, you can put on the edge. So you need to do lots of the design or simulation, and so that you can provide a very uniform light source for the whole display. So there are lots of the optical design for this kind of the application. So, for example, there's a design something like that, because if that LED direct goes out, and you will see the intensity is stronger, so you have some shadow over here, reflector over here, and you have some special design to improve the wave guiding of the LED. Okay, so if we have the LED, we can do something we call the color sequential method. Should we talk about this right now or later? Because they don't know LCD right now.
Depends. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Quick
so,
one.
Yeah, quick one. Okay. So as we said before, if we have the backlight system, so it's a white light, and we pass it through the liquid crystal layer, it's a light bulb. So, for example, it's if that is red, green, blue, and we want to have the yellow one. So we did a red pixel pass by, green pixel pass by, and block the blue one. And remember, here is a color filter. So they can, for the red color filter, they just filter out the green and blue. So the intensity decreased by 2/3. So only 1/3 of the light can go down for each pixel. Okay. On the other hand, if we have red, green, blue separate, here is the white light observation. So we had a red, green, blue separate. So we have the blue, then green, then red. So after passing through the liquid crystal, it's the time scale. Okay. So So the first one is blue, the second one is green, so the third one is red. So we say, oh, the blue one will block, and let it go for these two light, so they can go outside. So that is red and green without the color filter. So you don't need a color filter, so reduce the cost. And high efficiency, because there's no loss in color filter. Remember that color filter, you lost 2/3 of the light. Okay? Yeah.
Does this one not suffer from the issue that the 3 different LED colors have different intensities? Does
This
that
what?
play a role? Yeah, I mean, we say that the green is there have
Green
different.
can. You mean green can?
The LED,
Yeah.
they have different intensities. Like
Oh, yeah, right,
different
so-
color. So is that an advantage for that one, or doesn't matter?
Before, CCL has a high efficiency. For example, they can achieve maybe 100 lumen per watt. So at that time, the LED efficiency is lower and more expensive. And right now, the efficiency of LED improved a lot. So right now, I think maybe 60–70% for every LCD display, they use the LED. The second thing is, for the
It's probably 100%.
100%, yeah, because CCS, yeah, it's the fluorescence LED, something like that, and there's some mercury inside. So right now, for the Europe, they don't like that, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And also there's a big, blue-green light leakage and the yellow light leakage through the color filters. So now it's basically all replaced by white LED or RGB LEDs.
Okay, okay. What about if it's backlit by just, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah, right, of course, you have to tune the phosphor to make it white. Yeah. You have to tune the ratio of your phosphor.
We'll talk more about this.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
And now
emerging.
the combination of quantum dots make it even more attractive.
Yeah, so that is the red, green, blue subpixel. If you use the conventional LCD. And if we use a color sequential, then we can use the 3 frame and then make they combine together and become the color. And right now we don't need the color filter because the color comes from LED itself. But of course, you need a very, very fast LCD. So that's another issue. And the other issue is color breakout, which means when we see a moving project, a moving object from here to here, if that is white, so actually that is, you need that because that's a time sequential. So you have to leave down the red, green, and blue. But because that is moving, so your eye actually is tracking. So you focus on this point, then this point, and this point. So which make the red and green and blue has a different position on your retina. So you will see, oh, this kind of break. So we call it a color breakout.
This projector is a color sequential one. So if you look at there and you blink, then you'll see RGB.
Yeah, just do a simple experiment, but not too long. You look at that and move your eyeball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see.
You can see the color.
Well, you guys cannot see it, but come here, afterwards, come here and take a look.
Wow. Yeah.
And move your eyeball, then they will project on your different position on your retina.
And if it's faster, then it will be less obvious?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so you will see the boundary, something like that is moving. So, for example, in our typical display, we have 60 hertz means in 1 second there are 60 frames. So you can improve higher and higher, and that will be better. But you need to be, of course, there are some other solutions you can think about from the color science, because that's kind of color mixing. So, for example, how do you design the subpixels or other method you can eliminate or something reduce this effect?
I have a question about this picture. If this image is small enough that I don't even move my eyeball, will I see the color breakout on the edge? I mean, if this is a small screen that I focus my eye steady on the screen, and will I see the color breakout?
If that is the steady image, and you don't move your eyeball, no. Because for our eye, we have our eye has a response time, and we integral in time domain. So if that is steady state image, so everything is steady, so that is no breakout. But only with the movie. You can see a boundary over here. Okay. The other good thing is the local beaming, but I did not prepare the transparency. Maybe if yeah, that would be another good thing for the contrast ratio. We did not talk about contrast ratio as well as the LCD, so we skip that. And from maybe these 2-3 years, another application is micro LED. So what they did is the stack structure. So they stack the red, green, blue components like that, and there's a hole. The hole actually is a waveguide, so they can go all the way to the top. So we can see the red, green, blue image from the same position, and that is super small. So what is this application? So we can see here that is that is a projector display because you cannot see it because the pixel size is very small, 5 micron you cannot see. And you can because that's LED. LED you can have a very high brightness or luminance here, 20,000. And response time is super fast, something like that. Lifetime is super long. So what is the application? You can put on your, it's wearable projection, so you can put on your eye, glasses, something like that. And also, if you put on 2 on that, so that's kind of you can have the 3D image, or we call that augmented reality. Virtual reality, augmented reality, something like that. So you can have this displays. So if you think about a wearable, you can wear your glass like that. But for example, my wife said, "Oh, you are doing display, right? You are doing a wearable or something." So, but I don't like to wear the glass. How about the watch? I said, I don't like the watch. I don't want something like here. So everybody need to wear the clothes. So think about that. What is the what things you will wear all the time? So put some display over here. So it's a wearable LED. So that's right now it's just a concept. So you put LED chip everywhere, and then there are some stretch conductors over here. So that is wearable. But of course, the resolution is pretty low right now. But anyway, they can right now they don't talk about the wearable, flexible. Right now they call the stretchable. So if you that is close, you have to stretch it. So they have the, for example, 5% stretch. So it's okay. If that's 10%, that's not so good. Okay, so that is the some. These two are wearable. This one is wearable. This wear glass, so it's also wearable. Okay. Also, there are some, for example, some lighting. And right now, we have the general lighting already. So we have lots of the lighting history. So from the light bulb, but efficiency is pretty low, maybe 20 lumen per watt, and go to the fluorescence lamp, then that's maybe higher, 100 lumen per watt. But right now it's replaced by the LED already. So that's the lighting efficiency. So you can see here. For the incandescent light, it's pretty low. It's a lumen per watt. So that's, there are some different people have some different definition, but anyway, we say that's efficiency. So it's about 10 or 20. And if you put halogen is, if you put some halogen atom into your light bulb, and you can increase the temperature, because that's a black body radiation. So if you increase the temperature, then the higher efficiency. But anyway, it's still low. So for the fluorescence, here is the fluorescence lamp. So they can achieve about 100. So in just recent days, we have the white LED or OLED. Right now, then the much higher efficiency. And of course, there are lots of the other advantage for the LED. For example, for this fluorescence lamp, if that's broke, because that's glass, so that's not easy to handle. With LED, that's solid state lighting. So for the solid state lighting, it's easier to handle. And for the traffic light, if that is the light bulb and that's break, then break. If there are lots of LED, if you break 1 or 2 or 3, that's fine because there are still a lot. And of course, the lifetime for LED is pretty low. But for the lifetime, we say this fluorescence lamp, they have the 10,000 hours lifetime. And for the light bulb, typically, if you go to buy that, typically they say it's only 1,000, but that is not always true because if you go to see some history, you will see there's a light bulb for over 100 years already. Yeah. So that's another issue, another story. We call the plan obsolescence. Yeah. Yeah, that's another story. I just told a very brief. So about 1930s, because there's an economy down very bad. So somebody proposed this idea. They said when you fabricate a device, you need to plan the lifetime. So after that, they define, oh, okay, so the lifetime is something like very short, 1,000, something like that. So when you buy a phone or something like that, actually they already.
Just turn on 1 minute per day.
So anyway, so right now let's just let you know the efficiency like that, and for the DOE, they have some projection to the 2025 they want to achieve. Of course, you can see they are real. That's not like that. To the 400, 400, 300, 400, 500. That's not possible because for the white light there's an upper limit for the luminous efficacy. Okay, but right now I think we are pretty close because that's Philips. Maybe 3 years before, they have the over 200 lumen per watt. And remember that is warm white. So remember that right now, for this lighting, typically they use the gallium nitride to count the phosphor. So you improve the efficiency of the nitride, and you have to tune the phosphor efficiency everything. So that's easier for the cool white. Cool white means the stronger blue emission, but that's not easy to obtain the white because it means more transform from blue to white. And remember that there's an intrinsic start shift, so there's intrinsic energy loss in this. So typically that's lower. So that is the 200 is pretty good. And of course, right now for the white itself, it's over 300 million per watt. And you see, oh, it's 3 years before, 2 years before. How about right now? Actually, right now because there's a huge industry already. So I try to find some news or some announcement, but actually, right now they focus on this on the R&D value, so R&D stage. So right now they are focused on the how about your commercial one, 100, 120, something like that, and very cheaper and stable. Okay, so I think that is the LED part. Any question?
Okay, can you go back to the LED and OLED chart for lighting? Go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. What's your viewpoint about these two technologies? I mean, OLED is competing with LCD in display and competing with LED in lighting.
Yeah.
What's your viewpoint about these two competing technologies?
Yeah, LED is in terms of the lighting, because there are lots of the different applications. For example, it's indoor lighting, or you are the reading light, or many.
Yeah, now, I mean, if you go to Costco, then LED is dominating. I couldn't find OLED
No.
yet.
No,
right?
yeah, they're all
Yeah.
LED.
All LED, and each light bulb is guaranteed for 18 years of lifetime, and for
But-
$10.
You know what's interesting is that they base it on 3 hours per day. When they say
Yeah.
it's gonna last that number of years, it's based on only using it 3 hours per day. So it
Okay.
doesn't really last the lifetime that
Yeah.
they put, because they base the calculations on just 3 hours per day. What is when we see in Costco or whatever, we usually see the warm white and the other white. Typically, how is the LEDs? Like, do they use the blue and yellow, or do they use, typically it's the blue and yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're still using blue LED to pump yellow phosphor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but right now, actually, there's another issue about healthy is the blue hazard, because for the working place, right now we use fluorescence, or during the your office or so, typically the light is something like the cool white. But at home, typically for your parent or something like that, typically we use a light bulb and that's warm white. So
Yeah.
that's different. There are some research on that. Actually, if that is more blue or the car temperature is higher, and that will make people tired. Yeah. So during the nighttime, so typically, so right now there's a company called OLED Works, OLED Works, and they sell their yellow panel to the hospital, and they will have the patient come down. Yeah, and during the nighttime, you should have some lighting, but typically we don't want the blue light. Yeah. So yes, for the LED, they can tune the ratio of the design the
Color temperature.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's a very important issue.
OLED has tremendous advantages in terms of extended light source. It can have any form, right, and a thin profile. So, but it has to come out as soon as possible, otherwise LED will dominate the whole market.
Yeah, I think OLED, maybe you know that, or because right now some mobile phone, Samsung, they have OLED panel. Yeah, something like that. So for the OLED, they say, oh, we can have the display application or lighting application, but it's easier to go into display rather than lighting because the price. Yeah, the price of the light is super cheap. But OLED right now, the fabrication, the yield is not so mature enough. So the yield maybe not so good. So that's super expensive to have the OLED lighting to replace the general lighting. I think that may be some specific market. For example, if you want to design the art or something, art is priceless, right? So just cost you lots of money. That's fine.
Yeah, in the beginning, there was doubt that LED lamp can replace that fluorescent one, because that one is also very efficient. It said its lifetime is like only 2,000 hours. LED offers like 20 years of life. So on average, LED is still win.
Even more recently in the cars, they
Yeah.
were using HID because it was very efficient and
Yeah, it's
it was
LED,
the
yeah.
intensity was And now we see
LED.
they're using LED, so
Right.
it's
Yeah.
obviously
Lifetime.
expanding.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's about time. Yeah, thank you. So, we have our next homework is due Tuesday. For that,